Hi, I'm Tarique Al-Ansari, founder and CEO of Paystone.
Very broadly speaking, how would you describe the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Canada? And what would you say are our strengths, our weaknesses, and perhaps areas of improvement?
I would say the ecosystem right now is actually like thriving and live. I'm very proud of how far along we've come, especially in the past few years. And with success stories like Shopify and Lightspeed, it's making a lot of entrepreneurs a lot bolder and a lot bigger dream taking or risk taking and dreamers, and that is helping us a lot. From strength and weaknesses, I think the biggest strength we have in Canada here is the Canadian brand itself. So the Canadian brand is both perceived as a competent and respected. So when it comes to like moral, ethical views, the world respects Canada. And at the same time, people respect the Canadian product as being competent and good product, not like subpar. And that is something really important to highlight from a strength, and that helps Canadian entrepreneurs. From a weakness, the only thing I could think of is how low-key Canadian entrepreneurs and founders are. And I used to think, Florent, when I started this journey, that it's a media problem. But I think it's not as much a media problem as it is the Canadian modesty of the Canadian entrepreneurs, not wanting to be on media and front pages and not speak up. And it is a compliment to be modest and to be humble. But sometimes being too humble is not ideal, because we need so many more entrepreneurs and founders and success stories to be told and stories to be shared. And there is a lot of pain and struggle and what you go through to help to inspire others and help them go through the same kind of growth journey and what you go through, taking a company from nothing, from an idea to like 10 million, 100 million, a billion. It's really good to tell the story more and be less low-key than we are in Canada.
Looking specifically at some of Canada's key stakeholders, I'm thinking about the government, I'm thinking about the investor community and financial services in general. Looking at, for example, academia, what would you say is each of these stakeholders' role in supporting SMEs to access capital, mentorship, and other levels of support so that they can grow and scale up?
For Canada to maintain its competitiveness in the world and for us to maintain our G7 status, let alone G20 status, we need to bring a lot more people to Canada. We need to have growth. So if you think of just the area of the country, like Canada is like, one of the largest countries in the world. To support that kind of growth and the infrastructure that is needed from things like airports, roads, even 5G networks, we need a lot more customers. I'm thinking like we're not even talking about the talent pool and bringing experienced talent pool. I'm talking just from a customer perspective. I would love if Canada can have a bold vision and say, why don't we become 100 million people in 2050, for example? So that would be my 2 cents to the government. From other stakeholders, for example, such as academia, I think we need to focus more on case studies. I know case studies are big in business schools, but if you think about it, even in medical school, they learn a lot through case studies. I think there is a lot to learn through case studies, and we need to emphasize more on case studies. Engineering schools, media schools, and other schools to just focus more on case studies. Success and failures, and how can we learn from it, and how can we behave, because that is what is going to shape the skill set of these students as they're learning and going through it in life. It's not just what you learn academically, but also like the life experience of others and how can I benefit from it. From an investor perspective, I would say let's focus less on milestones and focus more on bold visions and the passion and where we're going. Because I feel like there is a lot of milestone-driven objectives or milestone-driven investment criteria. And that is something that I think is hurt. Like, it's making people focus more on the quarter results than focus on the long-term vision of the business. And this is something I personally appreciate in CBGF, for example, the Canadian Business Growth Fund, which is our institutional backer. When we talk about, for example, the exit options for Paystone, or we talk about like our IPO plans, they say, let's focus on building a great business and these plans will figure themselves out. And I love that. So you focus on the culture, you focus on the vision, you focus on building a great business and scaling a great business, and there will be a lot of options on the table.
So Tarique, you're born in Libya. You have spent some time in Gaza, in Palestine, as I understand. What is in the entrepreneur's DNA? Is there something that you can trace even from your youth or from your upbringing that you think contribute to your success as an entrepreneur, and maybe things that can also be nurtured or that can be built on?
I'll answer the question in general first. And in general, I would say in every entrepreneur's DNA, there is a thing to do with drive. So they're driven to change the world, to make a difference. Because when you wake up, if you think about it, what you go through as an entrepreneur, there is no reward immediately. You're not like making money, you're not working less, and there's a lot of sacrifice. So unless you have that drive in you to actually be able to take that risk, a lot at stake, you're not gonna be a successful entrepreneur. So you need to be self-driven. That's first. But for me specifically, when I look at like my story and my upbringing, I feel like I always had nothing to lose. It was like in Libya, I was not a citizen. I was an expat. In Gaza, I was a refugee. And when I came to Canada, I came as an immigrant, and Canada probably was the first country to make me feel like the belonging, that I belong here and I can have the nationality and the citizenship and the passport, and I'm very grateful to Canada for that. And when you think about that, most entrepreneurs, they don't think of the risk or what they get to lose. They think of how I can make the world much better. How can I improve and enhance people's lives? They always think of the outcome and the greater good than the risk and the sacrifice and what they have to go through. And that is something that I think holds true in every entrepreneur, and definitely applies to me as an immigrant and as somebody who came from nothing.
You mentioned you're born in 1984, so that would make you 37-ish. So still pretty young, but you've already done quite a bit, and clearly with recent announcements around the new investment in Paystone, you've already achieved a lot, really. So if you were to start your entrepreneurship journey all over right now, what would you do differently?
I would actually do something different big time. I would focus outside of our local area. I was really big about maintaining proximity to the office and hiring local and starting local. And I struggled with the talent pool in our area here in London, Ontario. COVID actually, it started for us before COVID with some acquisitions that came from out west, and then in Quebec, in Montreal, where our HQ2 right now is located. That it broadened our scope and our ability to attract talent and look beyond what we can have in London, Ontario. And with COVID, it made it even more so that right now we can tap into the talent pool across Canada, really across the world if you think about it. But we like to focus on Canada. And with making it like anywhere in Canada becomes your backyard, because you can just hire remote, you're broadening your reach for talent. And that is something I would definitely do different.
Finally, I want to ask you, if you had 30 seconds to pitch an individual in a position of power in Canada, and your pitch would be how to strengthen and how to improve our overall entrepreneurship ecosystem, who would you pitch and what would you say in 30 seconds?
I would pitch all of Canada, and I would say we need to think of ways of how we can grow our population, because that is something to support to maintain our current competitive status as a nation, as a G7 country and as a G20 country. We need to bring a lot more people to Canada, focus on skilled workers, and support the next 100 years of infrastructure that this country needs, with millions of more people that we need to bring to Canada, so that this country that started a few hundred years ago but has great success and great brand in the world can continue to lead the world on so many fronts. The Liberal government is doing, I think, a really good job on immigration, but I think we can do more. And what we can do more is not just the numbers, but also the integrations. Once we enhance the integration process of immigrants in Canada, we can attract a lot more talented and skilled workers to come to Canada because they'll feel more confident about their ability to succeed.